Hello everyone, today I am looking at Tunic. I really love this game. When I first saw it, I'm like, okay, it's another Zelda isometric classic, clone thing, whatever. And I thought, alright, whatever, don't worry about it. But I started playing it and I was like, whoa, this isn't just a Zelda game, this is an atmosphere game. Wow, yeah, this is a really amazing indie game. I mean, this is like my game of the year. And what really blew me away about it was the atmosphere, the absolute sense of, I mean, the music obviously was doing it, but the sense of this mythical landscape that you were exploring, and this really interesting world where everything was kind of low poly and polygon, and but the lighting and the world itself has like this style that is kind of photorealistic. And what I love especially are the redwood forest sections where you essentially you have this whole area that is filled with trees and dappled sunlight, and it's just really nice. So in this game, you just play a little fox guy called Tunic, I guess, and you wake up on this island and you go to the local temple, and there's some kind of weird mother figure there or something. And so she essentially is trapped behind this object, and what is necessary to do is to kind of free her from that. And so you kind of begin your quest going along and finding all these hidden secrets. And the developers of the game said that the game is very much about secrets and discovering things. And so there are plenty of times where I've been, fighting, and suddenly there'll be a bomb I throw, and instead it uncovers a secret hidden door that I totally did not intend at all. And it's like, oh, right, okay. There are also other things in this game where, like, there's this one wind chime puzzle where you have to listen to the direction of the wind chimes, how they're echolocated around the screen, how one goes up, left, right, down, whatever. And when you input that code by the wind chimes, it makes a chest spawn in, and just genius stuff. I watched the kind of developer diary behind this game, and the guy in charge of music explaining what they were doing, and it went way more intense than I thought what I was going to get and what was possible. Well, for example, the guy said Tunic is also the language of the game, and what it is the runes you see in the logo of the game. Those are real runes, and what they represent are essentially a musical language. So each note in the game also corresponds, like every note in every song corresponds with a different. And so what happens is that all of the songs in the game actually spell out different kinds of phrases. And in a way, there are songs that are talking about, the danger nearby or the beautiful forest. And he was just explaining this thing, and I was thinking, there's no way they did this. But he showed it, like, yes, they actually did this thing. And he said, why did we do this? A lot of people ask us. And he said, we're not making this game for other people. We're making this game for us because we thought it'd be cool to put it in here. That's just the kind of person that you want to making your games. Something extremely just crazy. Tunic also has pretty decent combat. You swing your sword, around, but you can also dodge, do kind of, not exactly parries, but you can do dodge attacks, and everything works more or less as it should. The other interesting thing too about the game is that the Tunic language, everything is written in it. So, I mean, you can go the extra mile and figure out the language and decipher things, but you don't really need to do that because the game kind of implies, okay, you got a sword, and to show you a picture of a sword, but you don't need to translate that thing to know what it means. But it does, I guess, help. But yeah, there are just tons of crazy secrets in this game. And the lead developer, I believe, Andrew Schuldeis, said that the main purpose of this game was to make a game where it was filled to the brim with secrets. And the music is just one component of that giant puzzle. Aside from your sword, you also get a series of sub-weapons that are mapped to other buttons. And so these include things like bombs, a kind of hookshot device, a kind of like laser shooter device, arrows, and that kind of thing. And so, different enemies will have different weaknesses to other things. One thing that's very non-Zelda-like that is in this game is like a little musket thing that packs a punch and is very fun to use. And also this game is also decently long with a lot of very cool puzzles and chambers and dungeons and whatever. And it's something that I absolutely, like from the second I started the game, I fell in love with it. I actually had that moment where the game started and I didn't move my character. I just let them sit in this world and bask in the atmosphere that was occurring. It was really something surreal and amazing and very, very cool. Also, this game's bosses, speaking of combat, are also very difficult. The first one I think you face is this giant kind of spider bot, and it's able to cover a lot of ground in a short time. And you basically have to keep dodging it. It has this giant mechanical kind of Metal Gear Rising feel to it. And in order to defeat it, you basically have to use a series of strategies and weaknesses, but also just your basic cunning to take it out. There's also a wizard battle atop this giant spire and other things like that. Some of the locations on this game, there's of course the peaceful overworld, the sewers, a crypt, the redwoods forest, the temple, these kind of plasma evil minds that are turning people into, or turning foxes into weird creatures that you need to fight. And so again, on that point, there is some lore to this game, but that was kind of my one issue, is that there wasn't a very direct story being told here. It's kind of like, okay, there's this destroyed world that you have to rejuvenate and create, but and save basically. It's not really told as to specifically why that is. I mean, you definitely get the vibes correct, but as to the why and telling a story with characters is kind of really absent. That's the only thing that I think would benefit this game, like why you're fighting these creatures, why you have to face this final fox goddess or whatever and free her. If there was a why to that was very definite, I think this would turn this game from like an 8 to like a 10. Because it really is, it's almost perfect. It is just such an amazing, distinct, amazing experience. And I'm just kind of upset that a lot of people don't really seem to know about it, because it is such an amazing game. Also, combat is very satisfying when you defeat enemies. The sound effects are really good. The rumble is really good. All that kind of stuff that you'd expect. And it just feels really good to fight the guys, and when you defeat them, they kind of go in this slow motion thing. Another thing that you will find throughout the game, and I thought this was just the smartest, coolest idea, is that you will find a game manual for the game Tunic itself. And it's this meta little thing, and you bring it up using the select button. And this little manual, even though you think it's for the game, it's actually giving you all these little hints of where you have to go and what you have to do. It's basically kind of a piece of artwork and also a piece of puzzle solving as well. So it's not just art. They're like puzzles and patterns and literally everything in this game. And it's such a smart, interesting experience. I love it so much. And of course, the style of the game as well. And the sound effects help bring it to life too, really, really strongly. Also, yeah, I forgot about the shopkeeper is a giant fox skeleton for some reason. Really just crazy. I don't know why, but that just is the way it is. Also, you do have, health bottles that regenerate every time you save, similar to Dark Souls. What's also very cool, by the end of the game, the scope of the game goes really crazy. You get kind of this dash/teleport ability, and it's really, really cool to use. You feel like a really big badass by the end of the game. Also, by the end of the game, what's very, very, very cool, like the puzzles in this game are just, they're not anything they might be hard. I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to solving puzzles, but they're just so smartly thought out. And so by the end of the game, you'll have this giant door at the top of this mountain. And you'll say, this is the ultimate puzzle. Only, solve this if you're willing to, go to the beyond, essentially. And so it's this optional final puzzle. And they say, follow the golden path. And I'm so glad I didn't look this up online. But I had no idea what it was talking about, but it had this one symbol, and I thought, oh, hey, I had seen that in the instruction manual. And so I started looking at the instruction manual, and I realized that this symbol had a golden line going through it. And then I realized that the golden line didn't just go somewhere on the page, but it also went onto the next page. And there was a different golden symbol there, and a different golden line. And it went to the next page, and the next page, and the next page. And you suddenly realize that the puzzle for this door, which consists of 50 different slots, is actually the 50 pages of the instruction manual. And there's a golden motif hidden somewhere inside each page of the instruction manual that reveals the pattern to enter to open this final giant door. And my mind was blown because it had been there the entire time and I just had to notice it. The best game of the year. I love that. It is so cool and so interesting. And aside from that, this is also soundtrack of the year as far as I'm concerned. I have listened to the entire OST of this game just multiple times for fun. And usually I'll choose one song for a game soundtrack to listen to. But this one, it is the entire OST. I don't neglect anyone. It is ridiculously good, stupidly good. Aside from that, the bosses in the game are very challenging. The final boss is also decently challenging. And also you just find certain patterns in the world. Like you see 3 white flowers together, that, oh, there's an explosive wall there. I just love this game because it's so dense with the gameplay and the combat and also the puzzles and all the treasure chests you can find. It just feels really, really cool and good. There are definitely some achievements that I would like to get later in the game. For example, one of them that's very odd is that you get a collection of these essentially little piggy bank things that have these bits in them. And so there is currency in this game. And so these bits you can use to essentially to buy certain items again from the fox skeleton zombie thing. And so you have these piggy banks that if you smash them, you get a bunch of bits and okay, well, that's the only thing they're used for. But for some reason, there's an achievement. If you just keep 10 of those without smashing them, you get an achievement called like lifetime saver or something, which is very odd because again, there's no reason for you to not use them. Again, I know this game is Zelda inspired or Zelda themed. And it does have elements of old school Zelda in it, but it is so much more than that. Tunic is a very distinct thing where, again, the music of the game is part of the riddle and the literal message according to the sound director of the game itself. It is an insanely well-made work of art and entertainment, and I absolutely adore it very, very deeply. It's also decently long, probably 30 to 40 hours at least. And there are different environments, bosses, hidden things. And it's so cool for once to play a game that does not guide you and does guide you, where you need to interpret a bunch of text and pictures in order to understand where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do. So there are waypoints or, directions on the map. They're just not written in English, and they're just not straightforward and require you to be smart enough to interpret them. This is one of the smartest, most interesting games I've played in a long time. And again, I am just ecstatic that it exists. This was an absolutely immersive experience, start to finish. Basically like a 10 out of 10 game. Again, if they had a better, more cohesive story instead of just little lore bits here and there, it would be an absolute 10 out of 10. There's also, I think, there's this one room you have to unlock in order to change the colors of your tunic and the design of the character, which I think is kind of funny / crazy that you even have to unlock color customization. But again, everything in this game is based around finding stuff and finding patterns and finding the right solution to the problem. And it just is very fluid. It feels very fun. The character is very cute. Like him being a fox is just whatever. And again, there is some kind of dark lore where it's like, oh, well, the character is like this because of this. And this is, the reality of, what these creatures actually are. But again, it doesn't go anything too hard or too far. Again, this is one of those games I just picked up and I thought, oh, I'll give the Zelda clone a try. And I could not put it down. It was insanely good. And yeah, I got kind of stuck here and there, but not really. For the most part, I kind of knew where to go and what to do and knew what I was doing. And again, this game has a lot of interesting and deep emotions, especially when you go to the crypt the first time. Like, that is some Dark Souls level Tombs of the Giants scary stuff. Like, you have very little light that you're working with, you don't know where you're going, and you're barely surviving, and it's really actually creepy and weird and bizarre. But yeah, I would love for more people to at least play this game. I think it'd be a great game to stream, I guess, or something. I know, I just want more people to know about this because I love it so much. And just the soundtrack alone, I think, is a reason to play it. It's just so ridiculously well done. Anyway, guys, I think that's the most I can really praise this game. I think I'll not go off too much longer. But yeah, Tunic, masterpiece game, indie game. It's made by only like a few people, mainly one guy who made it all, who's based in Canada of all places. And yeah, this game is pure condensed soul, and I cannot wait for other people to catch on and play it because it's so good. Anyway, my love and respect. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.